Good morning.
Morning.
2.5 weeks ago, we had a ribbon cutting for Phase 1 of the gardens at Central Park. I want to thank all of you for your support. And then we had messages from you, Deborah, even though you couldn't be there. I just wanted today to say we're here now to talk about Phase 2. We had ribbon cutting on Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then the following Friday, Beverly and I got together at Panera and came up with a vision board for Phase 2. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. We have schlepped this one around for years. So we're ready to put it to sleep. And I just did want to mention that this has been a perfect example of an all-volunteer organization, Keep Broken Arrow Beautiful, working with people from the city. And we've had a very good working relationship with everyone, and I just want to say thank you. Also say thank you to the citizens of Broken Arrow who approved the bond in 2018, and we hope they'll turn out in 2026. So, next slide, please.
You have them.
I don't have any. Oh, so today we're talking about the gardens at Central Park. Next slide. And that's kind of hard to see. I hope you can see it. But this is the future plan of what's going to be happening in Phase 2. And it's a Phase 1. When we had the, Robert Shears did the design for the landscape for the garden. And he did it in 2 phases, Phase 1 and Phase 2. So we had that ready for years, ready to go. We also had a price list of things, which the numbers were from 2023. And I know that you already have that information. So today we want to talk about our vision for 2026. Next slide, please. And these are some of the elements that Beverly and I have come up with that we want to make sure to see. This is what we did for Robert Shears for Phase 1. We had a vision board. We had a meeting with him. We talked about our vision. And then he took our information and turned it into the garden that we now have available in Central Park. So these are some things that will be done that will be a little extra and something different. We have a gazebo, which is going to be exciting. That will be down toward the north end of the garden. And we have pollinators. We're still interested in the pollinator garden, so we'll have some more pollinator things. We're going to have a woodlands area. And I'm going to grab my board again. And that woodlands area, this is why I brought it, because you can't see everything all at once. But the woodlands area is going to be over in here, and they've already planted a lot of the trees. They planted 31 trees in Phase 1, which is amazing to put that many trees in Central Park. We've needed it. We need it for shade. There's going to be a sensory garden. That's one of the things we have talked about, is just a sensory garden. The research shows that not only is great for kids, but it also is wonderful for seniors and for Alzheimer's patients. Then we'll go on to the rest areas. And the rest areas are going to be over in this area, over in here. And we want to have picnic tables. We want to have benches. There were 4 benches that were supposed to be part of Phase 1 that were eliminated because of inflation. We had to eliminate several things in there, so we're wanting to get some benches in this park so people can sit and enjoy themselves. We have talked about a monument sign. The sign that's up there now is a temporary sign, I'm hoping. I think we can do better than what's there, and there was some original plans for a monument sign in Phase 1 and in Phase 2. So I think this is appropriate then to unveil the new sign for the park. We also, one of the things that I was fascinated by as I did research on many of the gardens, we are in the Muskogee Nation area of tribal lands, and there are several places. You can see that design that's up there where it talks about the exercise equipment. And Beverly, do you want to hold up your thing? Maybe they can see that better. Yeah, and you can see down here at the bottom that there's this was up in Oregon, and they have an area that's dedicated to the Native Americans, and this is what is in their gardens up in Oregon. I was fascinated by that. Surely we can come up with some way, working with the Muskogee Nation, that we can recognize the fact that garden used to be a cotton field. And had a friend of mine who works with me in the Assistance League that came out, and her father has lived in Broken Arrow for a very long time, and she gave us all this information and said it was a cotton field, but it is, I just think we have such a relationship, and even our logo for the city and our name, Broken Arrow, we need to just respect the Native American heritage that we have here in Broken Arrow. And this is something they had. I don't know how we will want to do it, and we would probably want to consult with the Muskogee Nation before we went any further. And the other thing that we have, and Beverly's going to talk to you about that, is the exercise equipment.
I'll hold it for just a
All right.
minute. Are you finished? My turn? Okay, well, in case you didn't know, in 2014, the city set aside 6.5 acres in Central Park for this garden, and thank you for so many of you all have fought for that all these years, so bless you for that. Bottom line is, we want all of it on the bond issue, simple as that. About the exercise equipment, you realize the senior center has 3,100 members, and the veterans just are across the street, and we want this to be a handicap accessible area. If you look at the original plan for phase 2, it looks like our exercise equipment is going to be scattered out. No, we want it together, and we're looking at 3 different sections, and I do have some pictures here that we could pass around that show just kind of squared off areas which would have maybe 4 pieces of equipment in it, and that way the seniors would be able to get easily to one area and exercise. When you pass it around, you also see that it's a beautiful, beautiful way to do it. It's a cushion kind of area to avoid falls and things like that, but it has class, and I got to say, our city is about quality and class, and we want this top-notch, bottom line, another area for us to be proud of. What is cool about that is in the early days of our fundraising, we talked to some groups that actually had access to large amounts of money to help with this. They were actually interested in some of this equipment, but when you talk to people like that, they want to know how soon you can get it in the ground, what's the timeline, okay? So the question would be, even with all this dreaming and wonder, which I believe 100% we will achieve, to me, it would be wise to somehow go ahead and get a stronger layout of the land through Robert Shears. And if we have an area where we can start putting in these areas of equipment, that could go in pretty early. I really feel in my heart we could find outside funding for that, because it's a health issue, it's a senior issue, it's a veteran issue, it's a city issue. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful way for some of the equipment, grandparents and kids can work out together on it. So that's a possibility to bring in others to help with this. And I'm hoping in the next 7 years we are not just idle. It took us 7 years from the bond issue to the garden. I think we have grown. I think Broken Arrow Beautiful has achieved several grants. We are known for the work we do. You're known for the work you do. And I think it's not going to be that difficult to bring in other monies from other areas to help this to be a reality. In the meanwhile, though, it all needs to go on the bond issue so we have an idea of final funding and issues like that. I wanted to point out that one of the issues I'm sure concerns you is the burden that will be on the Parks Department. The planting, the caring, all the things that go on with. I would like you to notice that for the gazebo, it's just a simple gazebo with bushes. That's not a lot of maintenance, okay? You can put it out there. It doesn't take any water or lighting, probably. You can stick it on the ground, print some branches, and push some bushes, and that would be done. The same for the picnic restful areas. We already have one water fixture in, and we know what it costs. We raised the money for that from our rose gardens, from our rose festivals. So we know about that. I truly believe with health-oriented organizations, we should be able to get some funding for the equipment. And of course, the sensory garden, we already have a community group that's interested in a piece of sensory equipment to go in that garden. And Sharon has a whole folder of amazing things that we could put out there. So I think in the midst of looking at all this, I hope that we will also look at hopefully finding the money to get a much more in-depth landscape design where we can start looking at funds to create some of these things that won't be a burden on the taxpayers of the bond issues. So that would be our plan. It's going to be wonderful. Everything you've done in Broken Arrow, the City Council, I'm so humbled just for the things you have brought in the way of the roses to the city. Johnny, I think you were there in the early days of the TIF plan for the Rose District.
Oh,
Yes, bringing back the roses, all the meetings we had.
always been there.
We have fought hard, people.
He's always
And
been
this
there.
garden is just going to be, we always call it the crown jewel of the Rose District. And that's what we want. And by gum, we want a lovely sign out there. It's whatever kind of rock you can find, our sign. I just found that on Google and put our stuff on it.
Yeah.
So I hope you get excited about this. The ribbon cutting was so touching. I cried.
It's nice.
I cried. I have some of the blue ribbon, which I'll treasure forever. So anyway, it's just another amazing, amazing project that we'll do together. Our citizens, the council, all of you guys. And we will work every inch of the way for you, okay? Do you have any questions?
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question that may be more for Mr. Spurgeon or our legal or staff. When it comes to you're mentioning some of these things, which I think are all great and wonderful for our community, but obviously there's only so much pie to go around. So if we have parts of projects such as exercise equipment that we may have other funding sources for, if we put it into the bond, it can be taken away from something else. But if we know we have money coming in for it, how does that work? If they want to go ahead and include it in the bond, but they have other money, hoping for other money to come in, is that something that we shouldn't put in order to have some pie to go around somewhere else, or how? Give me some thoughts on that. This is my first.
Great question. Danny may have a comment. So let's just say, for example, that phase 2 is $1 million. If they're able to, and a part of that $1 million are some of the improvements that they can go get funds for. So if that total funds they could actually secure some private funding for equals $150,000, we would only bond for $850,000. I mean, we've done this. We've done public-private partnerships. We did the Bever Garden several years ago. It was a combination of city funds and private actually donations in terms of actually completing the work. And so as a part of this, Counselor, is we will find out for them what they believe they could, because they contributed, I think, approximately $30,000 to $50,000 to this first phase. And so if they have opportunities for funding, we would try to incorporate that into exactly what we would, for the very reason you said. That's, $150,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money hypothetically, or $100,000, but every dollar matters.
Right.
So that's how we'd handle it.
Well, and the other thing too, our pricing, because we funded some items that, for instance, the water feature was supposed to be in phase 2. Well, we felt like it was necessary to have it, so all we did was donate the money to the city, and then it was able to be put into it, and that just gave you more money to spend down the garden. This was over the top of it. The pricing that is from 2023, and I know that those prices are not going to, we're going to find that they need to be adjusted, I'm sure, because of inflation. And but I think that if we can get the design from Robert Shears, we can go out looking for money now, as soon as we get the layout from him of how it's going to be, and get some real pricing, something firm, some pricing on that. We could go out looking for money now, even before the bond passed. We might be able to get that funding, or get a guarantee of that funding. And if we get private funding, it might be able to be put in place earlier. That's our other thought.
So here's the backside of that. Let's say, for example, it's $1 million. Once again, I'm just using as round numbers, and they were able to think they could raise $100,000, but they ended up getting $200,000. So it's only $800,000, but the voters approve $1 million. Then that leaves $200,000 that could be used with the other projects within that proposition, or it could be additional work that could be done on the park itself. And so the only legal obligation is those dollars have to be spent within that proposition. So, I mean, we will work with them to try to find additional funding. It just becomes a matter of how you would spend those dollars for this project. And it's right, if $1 million in 2023, obviously it's probably going to be a couple $100,000 higher. And so it is a small amount. So there's probably a lot of momentum to try to make this one of those earlier projects that we put before the council to sell the bonds on, depending on the capacity we have each year. So But we would work with them and then keep the money in the proposition.
Okay. The other issue we have, we didn't mention, is the creek there right beside our park. I'm an old ER nurse, and we see that. Am I out of time? Am I gone?
You can wrap it up.
We see that creek as a health hazard. It's dangerous, it's eroding. We know that's a Blue Line project, it's come up before in engineering, and we don't know how this would fit in to somehow get that cleared by the government to be able to tidy that up and make it pretty and safe would be really, really important to us. It's not really on our land. Bottom line is, if we move forward trying to find money for projects, we would need to find money to pay for Robert Shears to redo that map, that layout, that design, so we'll be able to say, yes, Deborah, you want to give us money, this is your little spot of land, and that's where we're gonna put your equipment, so that we would need to know how that would work out, so. Well, thank you from me, how about you?
Thank you very much, appreciate your
Thank
time.
you,
You
ladies.
guys are wonderful,
you.
thank you.